obi biara akwaba ediba dim de ni so odoman komo nyankopon na dom ti nim se nyina ho eye sabre yensem no yenko ensem no emu.
And I'm happy that the Electoral Commission, after engaging the parties, has shelved plans to change the 7th December date. Politics, after all, has been described as the art of the possible. And if that is what we are engaged in, it should not be beyond us to resolve the problems that come up and concentrate on working to build the happy and prosperous country we want. Government on its part will do what is expected of it to make sure that the reputation of Ghana is not damaged and the free will of the people is manifested at the end of the electoral process. And I want to reassure the people of Ghana that I'll do everything in my power to help ensure the conduct of transparent, free, and fair elections on 7th December. I have confidence in the security services to ensure that those who might want to cause havoc or any kind of mischief to disrupt the electoral process will have no room to operate. Mr. Speaker, there are amongst us those who, for ideological or other unstated reasons, have never accepted multi-party democracy and therefore take every opportunity to portray the governance efforts in the most disparaging manner. There are also those amongst us who consider the rough and tumble of politics to be beneath them and would not want their sainted images to be soiled by what they term the dirt of politics. Mr. Speaker, we can and we should continuously improve upon the performance of the institutions that hold the state together. But nobody should undermine the integrity of the arms of government for parochial reasons. There is definitely much room for improvement in the workings of the executive arm of government, the judiciary, and our parliament. Even those who have had parliaments as part of their governance systems for hundreds of years still make mistakes and sometimes get things alarmingly wrong. It would be surprising if our 31-year-old parliament did not get things wrong sometimes. This august house, which holds so many fond memories for me of my personal political journey, doesn't always measure up to the expectations of the people, or even sometimes of its own members. There's a lot of anxiety currently about how our MPs get elected. There's anxiety about the rapid turnover of members in the House and the loss of institutional memory. There's a lot of anxiety about some of the procedures in the House. We will not all agree with everything that the Parliament does. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, that I do not agree with everything that goes on in here. But that is the beauty of what we as a people are trying to do in our governance structure. Mr. Speaker, the President and his appointees are not universally loved. It would be strange and unproductive if they were. It is probably worthwhile making what I consider to be important observations at this stage on some of the issues in our public discourse in the lead up to the elections for a new president. Under the Constitution, the executive power of the state is vested in the President of the Republic. He or she is the executive. There's no ambiguity about where the buck stops when it comes to responsibility for what happens in the government. It stops with the President. He or she has ultimate responsibility. It would be an unwise president that will pretend to have all the answers and refuse the advice of his officials But the fact remains that the president holds the executive power. The cabinet, the ministers of state, all act ultimately in an advisory manner. Of course, a member of the government might take an idea, be it generated by the president or the official or a committee, and turn it into a huge success, and the honors will be claimed or shared where public perception falls. But ultimately, the president is responsible and therefore takes the credit or the blame for whatever happens in his or her government. Mr. Speaker, let me make a second point. The programs that come from the executive benefit from the rigorous public examination and debates to which they are subjected. We all now take for granted and sometimes even bemoan the vigorous media and civil society organization scrutiny that characterize public discourse. It gives me quite satisfaction and great pride to hear young Ghanaians today who believe that criticizing the President of the Republic and challenging government proposals are normal, regular activities. Some of the young people listen with incredulity when they hear about a Ghana that was once without private radio stations, and people had to tune into foreign stations to hear critical and opposition voices. Today, there are some 550 radio stations in operation in this country. In spite of all its shortcomings and difficulties, the people of Ghana have showed admirable commitment to multi-party democracy and have not fallen for the instigations to resort to the violent overthrow of an elected government. The past 32 years of the Fourth Republic have witnessed the most sustained period of stability and economic growth in our country. And we should be proud of what we have achieved and seek to protect and build on it. And that is why the theme for the 67th Independence Anniversary celebration on 6th March in Koforidua is Our Democracy, Our Pride. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report on the progress we're making in the administration of justice. This past year, a total of 76 judges and magistrates were appointed. They comprise the new Chief Justice, 2 new Justices of the Supreme Court, 23 new High Court judges, 29 Circuit Court judges, and 21 new magistrates. 262 staff were recruited to address some of the human resource gaps created because of the newly established courts throughout the country. In January 2024, 3 additional justices have been appointed to the Supreme Court to replace 3 justices who have retired from the court. We've made unprecedented progress in the provision of court buildings and residences for judges around the country.